6 months after the Terra Nova's message reached Earth, the planet was in chaos. President Jinnah sat in the Emergency Council meeting, watching her advisors argue about humanity's future. "We cannot trust these aliens," General Tejo said firmly. "They think we're warriors for hire. What happens when they learn we're not as strong as they believe?" "But look at what they're offering," replied Science Minister Kyung-min. "Fusion reactors faster than light travel, medical advances that could cure cancer. We'd be fools to refuse." President Jinnah rubbed her temples. The alien ambassadors had arrived 3 weeks ago in ships that made Earth's best technology look like stone tools. Both sides wanted to hire humans as soldiers, and both offered incredible rewards. "What does our military analysis tell us?" she asked. General Tejo opened his tablet. "According to the information they've shared, both alien armies are small. The Vorthak Empire has maybe 50,000 soldiers total. The Nexari Federation has even fewer. Their weapons are advanced, but their tactics are..." He paused. "Strange." "Strange how?" Jinnah asked. "They fight like it's a game," Tejo explained. "Scheduled battles, honor codes, rules about what targets are acceptable. It's nothing like real warfare." Across the city, military historian Wu Jin was having his own meeting with the alien ambassadors. The Vorthak representative, a lizard-like creature named Hiskral, was trying to understand human military history. "So your species fights for resources," Hiskral said, taking notes on a crystal device. "This is logical. But you also fight for territory, religion, politics, and..." He looked confused. "National pride?" "That's right," Wu Jin replied. "Humans fight for many reasons. And you use weapons that can destroy entire cities?" Wu Jin nodded. "Nuclear weapons, biological weapons, chemical weapons. We've developed many ways to kill large numbers of people quickly." Hiskral's scales changed color with excitement. "Incredible. Your species has transcended the need for resources and now fights for pure ideological satisfaction. You are even more advanced than we thought." "No, that's not what I meant," Wu Jin said quickly. "We don't fight for fun. War is horrible. We try to avoid it." "Of course you say that," Hiskral replied. "Modesty is a warrior's virtue. But the evidence speaks for itself. Your species has perfected the art of warfare." Meanwhile, Ambassador Mi-young was meeting with the Nexari representative. The crystal being, who called itself Song of Stars, was equally fascinated by human military capabilities. "Your people fight without honor codes?" Song of Stars asked, its crystalline body pulsing with different colors. "We have rules of war," Mi-young explained. "Treaties about protecting civilians, treating prisoners humanely, avoiding certain weapons." "But you break these rules when necessary?" Mi-young hesitated. "Sometimes, in extreme situations." Song of Stars glowed brighter. "Remarkable. Your species understands that true victory requires flexibility. The Vorthak could never comprehend such advanced thinking." "I'm not sure you understand," Mi-young said. "When we break the rules, it's usually considered a war crime." "Yes, crime against your enemies," Song of Stars agreed. "Very psychological. You defeat them mentally before the physical battle begins." The misunderstandings continued for weeks. No matter how humans tried to explain their relationship with war, both alien species became more convinced that Earth possessed the ultimate warrior race. Everything changed when pirates attacked a human merchant ship. Captain Kyung-soo of the Soul's Pride was taking medical supplies to a research station when 3 alien ships surrounded his vessel. His crew of 12 faced 50 armed pirates from a species nobody had seen before. "This is Captain Kyung-soo of the merchant vessel Soul's Pride," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We're carrying medical supplies. We have no weapons or valuable cargo." The pirate response was a blast of energy that knocked out their main engines. "Jae-hyuk, get down to engineering and see if you can get us moving," Kyung-soo ordered his first officer. "Everyone else, grab whatever you can use as weapons." "Captain, we're merchant," protested Navigator Sung-woo. "We don't know how to fight." "We're human," Kyung-soo replied grimly. "We'll figure it out." What happened next amazed the alien observers, who'd been secretly following the merchant ship. The human crew used their knowledge of their own vessel to create traps. They shut off life support in certain sections, forcing the pirates into areas where humans could attack from above. They used medical equipment as weapons and turned their cargo containers into barriers. Engineer Jae-hyuk managed to restart the engines just as the pirates were about to reach the bridge. The sudden acceleration threw the attackers off balance, giving the humans time to lock them in the cargo bay. "Sungwoo, do we have any way to contact those alien ambassadors?" Kyung-soo asked. "I think so, Captain." 20 minutes later, both Vorthak and Nexari ships arrived to find the Soul's Pride intact and 50 pirates locked in its cargo hold. The human crew had suffered only minor injuries. Hiskral was the first to board the merchant ship. He found Captain Kyung-soo calmly drinking coffee while his crew repaired the damage. "How did you defeat 50 armed warriors with only 12 people?" the Vorthak ambassador asked. "We used what we had," Kyung-soo replied. "The ship's layout, our medical, supplies basic psychology. They expected us to fight like soldiers, so we fought like engineers and doctors instead." "But you had no weapons training?" "I served in the Navy 20 years ago," Kyung-soo admitted. "But most of my crew are civilians. Jae-hyuk was a teacher before he became an engineer. Sungwoo studied art history." Song of Stars arrived just in time to hear this conversation. The Nexari ambassador began pulsing rapidly with different colors. "Art history?" it asked. "Your warriors study cultural aesthetics as part of their combat training?" "He's not a warrior," Kyung-soo said in frustration. "He's a navigator who used to teach about paintings and sculptures." Both ambassadors looked at each other. Hiskral spoke first. "Captain, are you saying that ordinary humans with no military training can defeat professional soldiers?" "Well, yes," Kyung-soo replied, "if they have to." That evening, both alien ambassadors sent urgent messages to their governments. The Vorthak and Nexari had been fighting each other with honor codes and formal battle plans for decades. The idea of a species where ordinary merchants could become deadly fighters was terrifying and exciting. President Jinnah received calls from both alien leaders within hours. "Honored President," said the Vorthak Emperor's voice through the translator, "we wish to triple our offer for human military services. Your species is more valuable than we imagined." The Nexari High Council made an even bigger offer. "We will provide you with our most advanced medical technology if you send us just 100 human advisors." General Taeho saw an opportunity. "Madam President, maybe we should consider this. We could send volunteers as advisors, learn about their technology, and help end their war peacefully." Ambassador Mi Young disagreed. "This is dangerous. They don't understand what they're asking for. If we send soldiers, we could make their war worse. Or we could end it quickly," argued Science Minister Kyung-min. "Think about what we could learn from their technology." President Jinnah made her decision. "We'll send a small group of military advisors. Colonel Dong-hyun will lead them. Their mission is to observe, advise, and help negotiate peace." Colonel Dong-hyun was not happy with his assignment. A veteran of several Earth conflicts, he understood warfare in ways the aliens clearly did not. But orders were orders. As his transport ship prepared to leave Earth orbit, both alien fleets escorted it toward the contested star system. The Vorthak and Nexari had agreed to share the human advisors, taking turns to observe their capabilities. What neither side realized was that Colonel Dong-hyun and his 800 soldiers were about to transform their civilized, honor-bound conflict into something completely different. On Earth, President Jinnah watched the ships disappear into hyperspace and wondered if she had just made a terrible mistake. The aliens thought they were hiring mercenaries, but they were actually importing a completely different understanding of what war could be. In the depths of space, the Galactic Council received reports about the incident with the Soul's Pride. For the first time in 3,000 years, they began to discuss the possibility that a new species might threaten galactic peace. The humans were coming to the war zone, and nothing would ever be the same. Captain Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova and watched the stars through the main screen. After 18 months of travel, his crew was finally approaching their destination. Earth's first deep space mission was almost complete. They had traveled farther from home than any human before them. "Captain, we're picking up some strange signals," said Lieutenant Minho from the communication station. His voice sounded worried. There are ships out there, lots of them. Yunwu walked over to look at the readings. The screen showed dozens of contacts scattered across the solar system they had just entered. Some were moving in patterns that looked like patrol routes. Others seemed to be fighting. Are they human ships? Asked Dr. So-min. She was the missions expert on alien life, though she had never expected to actually meet any. No, Minho replied. The signals are completely different. I think we just found aliens. The bridge went quiet. Everyone stared at the screen. After years of searching, humanity had finally found proof they were not alone in the universe. But these aliens seemed to be at war. Captain, 2 groups of ships are heading toward us, reported Ensign Jamin from the sensor station. They're moving fast. Hyunwoo felt his heart race. Earth had sent the Terra Nova to explore and make peaceful contact if they found intelligent life. But they had not expected to fly into the middle of a war zone. Raise shields and prepare weapons, he ordered. But do not fire unless they attack first. We're here in peace. The first group of ships arrived within minutes. They were unlike anything humans had ever seen. The vessels looked like giant snakes made of dark metal. Each ship was over a kilometer, long and covered in sharp spikes. Incoming transmission, Minho announced. They're using some kind of universal translator. The main screen flickered and showed a reptilian face with glowing red eyes. The creature had scales that shifted from green to black, and its mouth was full of sharp teeth. Unknown vessels, the alien hissed. I am Commander Seth Ricks of the Vorthak Empire. You have entered our territory. State your purpose or be destroyed. Hyunwoo stepped forward. I am Captain Hyunwoo of the human ship Terra Nova. We come from Earth in peace. We did not know this area belonged to anyone. Seth Ricks studied him carefully. Humans. We have not heard of this species. Your ship design is primitive, but you dare to enter a war zone. Are you mercenaries? Mercenaries? No, we're explorers, Hyunwoo replied. We're just trying to learn about the galaxy. Before Seth Ricks could respond, the second group of ships arrived. These vessels were completely different. They looked like giant crystals that sparkled with inner light. Beautiful music seemed to come from them as they moved. Another face appeared on the screen, splitting it in half. This alien looked like it was made of living crystal. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. I am Admiral Vextal of the Nexari Federation, the crystal being said. We detected your approach, unknown species. Why do you travel with Vorthak raiders? We're not with them, Hyunwoo said quickly. We just met them. We're explorers from a planet called Earth. Seth Ricks laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Earth? Never heard of it. But if you're looking for work, the Vorthak Empire pays well for skilled warriors. Warriors? Dr. So-min stepped into view. We're scientists and explorers. We don't fight wars. Both aliens looked shocked. Vextal's crystalline form pulsed with different colors. You travel in armed ships but claim to avoid combat? This makes no sense. Our weapons are only for defense, Hyunwoo explained. We've never fought in space before. This is our first time leaving our home system. Seth Ricks studied the Terra Nova more carefully. Your ship has plasma cannons and missile tubes. These are not defensive weapons, and your crew moves with military precision. You are clearly warriors. We trained together for this mission, Minho said. But we're not soldiers. Tell me about your homeworld, Vextal requested. How does your species settle disputes? Dr. So-min looked at Hyunwoo, who nodded for her to answer. Well, humans have fought wars throughout our history. We've had conflicts over territory, resources, beliefs, and many other reasons. Both aliens suddenly became very interested. Seth Ricks leaned closer to his screen. How many wars has your species fought? It's hard to count, So-min replied. Thousands, probably. We've been fighting each other for as long as we have records. Vextal's crystal form began glowing brighter. Thousands of wars? In how much time? Over the last 10,000 years or so, So-min said. But the really big ones were in the last few centuries. Seth Ricks and Vextal exchanged glances. The Vorthak commander spoke first. The Empire and Federation have been in conflict for 40 years. It is the longest war in recent galactic history. 40 years for one war? Hyun-woo asked. On Earth, some of our wars lasted longer than that, and we often fought multiple wars at the same time. This is incredible, Vextal said. Your species must be the greatest warriors in the galaxy. No wonder you travel so confidently into battle zones. We're not traveling confidently, Hyun-woo protested. We're lost and confused. We just want to go home and report what we've found. But neither alien was listening anymore. Seth Ricks was talking rapidly to someone off-screen. Vextal was doing the same, its crystal form flashing with different colors. Captain Hyun-woo, Seth Ricks said when he returned his attention to the screen. The Vorthak Empire wishes to hire your services. We will provide you with advanced technology in exchange for military assistance. The Nexari Federation makes the same offer, Vextal added quickly. Our medical knowledge could extend your lifespans by centuries. We can't take sides in your war, Hyun-woo said firmly. Our mission is peaceful exploration. But you just said your species fights constantly, Seth Ricks pointed out. Surely you understand the joy of battle. Dr. So-min looked horrified. Joy of battle? We don't fight for fun. War is terrible. Millions of people die. Both aliens went silent. Finally, Vextal spoke. Millions in a single conflict? Our last global war killed over 50 million people, So-min said quietly. The screens went dark as both alien commanders cut their transmissions. Hyun-woo could see their ships pulling back to safe distances. Captain, what just happened? Asked Minho. I think we scared them, Hyun-woo replied. They expected to find warriors, but they found something else entirely. Dr. So-min sat down heavily. They think we're monsters, a species that kills millions for sport. That's not what we said, Hyun-woo protested. It's what they heard, So-min replied. They've been fighting for 40 years and probably haven't lost thousands of people total. We just told them about wars that killed millions. The communication system crackled back to life. This time, both alien commanders appeared together on the screen. They seemed to have been talking to each other. Humans of Earth, Seth Ricks said formally. The Vorthak Empire and Nexari Federation have agreed to send ambassadors to your homeworld. We wish to learn more about your warrior culture. We're sending our finest diplomats and military advisors, Vextal added. Both sides wish to negotiate for your services. Wait, Hyun-woo said. We never agreed to fight for anyone. Of course not, Seth Ricks replied. Such negotiations must be handled properly. We will meet with your war leaders on Earth. The transmissions ended before Hyun-woo could respond. Both alien fleets began moving away, but not toward each other. Instead, they headed in the same direction the Terra Nova had come from. They're going to Earth, Minho said in shock. We have to warn Earth Command, Hyun-woo ordered. Send a message immediately. As the Terra Nova began its long journey home, 2 alien fleets raced ahead of them. Both sides were convinced they had found the ultimate mercenaries. Neither understood that they had completely misunderstood humanity's relationship with war. On distant worlds, the Galactic Council began receiving the first reports about a new species from the Outer Rim. The reports all said the same thing. Dangerous warriors had been discovered, and they might change everything. Colonel Dong-hyun stood on the observation deck of the Vorthak command ship and watched the strangest battle he had ever seen. 2 fleets of alien warships were arranged in perfect lines, firing at each other with mathematical precision. Every shot was aimed to disable rather than destroy. When a ship was damaged, it withdrew from the battle line and waited for repairs. This is not war, he said to Major Haewon, his second in command. This is theater. I've been studying their tactics. For 3 days, Haewon replied, looking at her tablet. They schedule their battles 2 weeks in advance. They refuse to attack supply ships, medical vessels, or civilian targets. And they stop fighting during certain lunar phases because it's considered bad luck. Dong-hyun shook his head. No wonder their conflict has lasted 40 years. They're not trying to win. They're just following rules. General Scale Render Thox, the Vorthak commander, approached them. His massive reptilian form was covered in ceremonial armor that looked impressive but offered little protection. "Colonel, Dong-hyun, what do you think of our battle formation?" Thox asked proudly. "It took us 5 years to perfect this strategy." "It's very orderly," Dong-hyun replied carefully. "But why do you announce your attacks beforehand?" "Honor demands it," Thox explained. "A true warrior gives his enemy time to prepare, otherwise victory has no meaning." Major Haewon looked confused. "But doesn't that make it harder to win?" "Winning is not the goal," Thox said. "Glory is the goal. The Nexari fight with equal honor, which is why our conflict has been so magnificent." That evening, Dong-hyun met with the Nexari commanders on their crystal ship. Admiral Crystal Singer Vextal showed him their battle plans with obvious pride. "See how we arrange our ships in harmony with the cosmic frequencies?" Vextal said, pointing to formations that looked more like art than military strategy. "Each vessel sings its own note in our great war song." "It's beautiful," admitted Lieutenant Ji-ho, one of Dong-hyun's squad leaders. "But what happens if the enemy doesn't follow the pattern?" "That would be impossible," Vextal replied. "The Vorthak are honorable enemies. They would never break the sacred rules of warfare." Captain Soo-jin, Dong-hyun's intelligence officer, had been studying both alien cultures for weeks. She requested a private meeting with the colonel. "Sir, I need to show you something," she said, pulling up star charts on her computer. "Both sides have been fighting over 3 mining stations in this system for decades." "What kind of resources?" Dong-hyun asked. "That's the problem," Soo-jin replied. "I hacked into their survey data. The mines were emptied 30 years ago. They're fighting over nothing." "Have you told them?" "I tried. General Thox said it was obviously a human trick to confuse the enemy. Admiral Vextal thought I was testing their intelligence-gathering capabilities." Dong-hyun rubbed his forehead. "They've been fighting a pointless war for decades, and they won't even listen when we try to tell them." "It gets worse, sir," I intercepted. "Communications from both sides. They're planning a demonstration battle to show us proper military tactics. They want us to observe how civilized species conduct warfare." The demonstration battle was scheduled for the next week. Mining Station Beta, an empty facility that had been captured and recaptured dozens of times, would be the target. The Nexari would defend while the Vorthak attacked, using their most advanced strategies. Dong-hyun watched the preparation with growing amazement. Both sides spent days moving their fleets into precise formations. They exchanged formal challenges and counter-challenges. They even agreed on which weapons would be used and how long the battle should last. "This is insane," muttered Sergeant Ji-ho. "They're treating war like a sporting event." "Sir," Major Haewon said quietly, "what if we showed them a different approach?" "What do you mean?" "The Vorthak expect us to observe their attack on Mining Station Beta. But what if we captured the station ourselves? Tonight, while both sides are preparing." Dong-hyun considered this. "It would certainly get their attention. How many people would you need?" "Give me 12 soldiers in 6 hours," Haewon said confidently. That night, while both alien fleets were positioned for their formal battle, Major Haewon led a squad of human soldiers toward Mining Station Beta. They used small transport ships that barely registered on alien sensors. The station was defended by a token force of Nexari warriors, exactly as specified in the battle agreements. They were expecting an honorable frontal assault at dawn, announced by formal combat hymns. Instead, Sergeant Ji-ho and his team cut through the station's outer hull with plasma torches. They moved through the maintenance tunnels that the aliens never bothered to guard. Within 2 hours, they had disabled the power systems, communications, and defensive weapons. The Nexari defenders never saw them coming. Human soldiers appeared in the command center, storage areas, and weapon positions simultaneously. The attack was so coordinated and unexpected that most of the aliens surrendered without firing a shot. "This is impossible," said the Nexari station commander as Ji-ho accepted his surrender. "The battle is not scheduled to begin for 6 more hours." "We changed the schedule," Ji-ho replied. When dawn came, both alien fleets moved into position for their formal battle. The Vorthak began their traditional pre-combat chants while the Nexari sang their battle harmonies. Then they tried to contact Mining Station Beta to begin the fight. Station Beta, this is Admiral Vextal, the Nexari commander broadcast. We are ready to begin our glorious defense. Actually, this is Sergeant Ji-Ho of the Human Forces, came the reply. We captured the station last night. The battle is over. Both alien fleets stopped moving. For several minutes, nobody spoke on any communication channel. Finally, General Thox contacted the human command ship. Colonel Dong-hyun, what has happened? The battle was not supposed to begin until sunrise. We don't fight on your schedule, Dong-hyun replied. We fight when victory is possible. But you gave no challenge, protested Admiral Vextal. You announced no intentions. You struck without warning. That's called tactics, Major Haewon explained. On Earth, we call it a surprise attack. Surprise attack? Both alien commanders sounded horrified. Captain Soo-jin had been monitoring all communications during the operation. She now had enough information to understand why the aliens were so shocked. Colonel, I don't think they have a concept for surprise attacks, she reported. Their cultures have been fighting formal battles for so long that the idea of striking without warning seems impossible to them. What about their own history? Dong-hyun asked. I've been reading their military records, Soo-jin replied. Neither side has fought a war in over 3,000 years. This conflict with each other is the only military experience either species has. Medic Jae-sung had been treating the captured Nexari soldiers. He requested permission to speak with Colonel Dong-hyun. Sir, the prisoners are asking strange questions, Jae-sung reported. They want to know why we treated their wounds instead of letting them die with honor. They can't understand why we gave them food and water. What do you mean? In their culture, captured warriors are supposed to refuse help from enemies, Jae-sung explained. They're confused because we're treating them like humans instead of letting them follow their honor codes. The implications were staggering. These aliens had been fighting a ritualized conflict based on ancient traditions that had no connection to actual warfare. They had never experienced real military tactics, psychological warfare, or strategic thinking. Sir, Major Haewon said thoughtfully, what if they want us to teach them our methods? That would be a disaster, Dong-hyun replied immediately. Can you imagine what would happen if they learned human military tactics? His question was answered within days. Both alien governments contacted Earth simultaneously requesting more human military advisors. The capture of Mining Station Beta had impressed them so much that they wanted to learn everything about human warfare. President Jinnah authorized sending more advisors, but with strict orders to help end the conflict, not escalate it. Unfortunately, both alien sides were already trying to adapt human tactics on their own. The first results were catastrophic. A Vorthak patrol tried to copy the humans' surprise attack by striking a Nexari outpost without warning. But they had no understanding of coordination or timing. Half their ships arrived too early, the other half got lost, and the attack turned into a confused mess that killed more civilians than soldiers. The Nexari attempted their own version of psychological warfare by broadcasting human battle songs during their next attack. But they chose children's lullabies from Earth's cultural database, which only confused everyone involved. Colonel Dong-hyun realized that the situation was spinning, out of control. The aliens were learning the wrong lessons from human tactics, and their attempts to copy human warfare were making their conflict more dangerous without making it more effective. We need to end this war before they really figure out how to fight, he told his officers. If these species learn actual military strategy, they could destroy each other. But across the galaxy, word was spreading about the new human tactics. Other species were sending observers to the conflict zone. The Galactic Council was beginning to take notice of reports about revolutionary military concepts being demonstrated in a remote border war. 3 months after the humans arrived, the war looked completely different. Colonel Dong-hyun stood in the command center watching Commander Yoo-jin lead an attack that would have been impossible under the old alien rules. Alpha Team is cutting through their back entrance, Yoo-jin reported through her radio. Beta Team has disabled their power systems. Charlie team is jamming all their communications. Within 20 minutes, the Nexari fortress that had stood undefeated for 15 years was captured. The crystal beings inside never understood what happened. They were trained to fight battles that started with formal announcements and proceeded step by step according to ancient rules. How did they attack from so many directions at once? Asked Admiral Crystal Singer Vextal, staring at her tactical display in confusion. We call it coordinated assault, explained Major Haywan patiently. Different groups work together toward the same goal. But that requires one mind to control many bodies, protested General Scale Render Thox. Such coordination is impossible. Lieutenant Boram looked up from her electronic warfare station. On Earth, we've been coordinating complex military operations for over 100 years. It's basic modern warfare. The aliens were trying desperately to understand human methods, but every lesson created new disasters. When the Vorthak learned about supply line attacks, they started destroying food convoys carrying medical supplies to refugee camps. When the Nexari discovered electronic jamming, they blocked all communications in their sector, including emergency medical calls. Both alien armies were adopting human tactics without understanding the thinking behind them. The results were getting worse every day. Medic Jae-sung had become famous throughout both alien fleets. His medical techniques could save lives that alien doctors considered hopeless. But his success was creating unexpected problems. Colonel, we need to talk, Jae-sung said during the morning briefing. Both alien armies are sending their wounded soldiers to me instead of their own medical teams. Why is that a problem? Asked Dong-hyun. Because I've saved over 400 lives. In 2 months, Jae-sung replied. The aliens think I have magical healing powers. They're building religious shrines with my picture in them. Religious shrines? Yesterday I found a Vorthak soldier praying to a statue that looked like me. He was asking for protection in battle, Captain. Sujin had been studying how human involvement was changing the broader war. Her intelligence reports were becoming increasingly disturbing. Sir, both alien governments are completely restructuring their military systems, she reported. The Vorthak are trying to create what they call human-style special forces. The Nexari are developing psychological warfare divisions. Are they having any success? That's the problem, Colonel. They're copying our methods but not our principles. A Vorthak Special Forces unit attacked a civilian passenger ship yesterday because they thought surprise attacks meant hitting any target without warning. Dong-hyun felt his stomach turn. How many casualties? 57 civilians killed, including children. The Vorthak commander thought he was following human tactical doctrine. Captain Sujin continued her report. The Nexari Psychological Warfare Division has been broadcasting what they call terror messages to enemy forces. But they're just playing recordings of human children singing lullabies because they think anything from Earth must be psychologically devastating. The situation was spiraling out of control. Both alien species were learning human military techniques without understanding the strategic thinking or moral framework that guided their use. Everything changed when an observer from the Galactic Council arrived to investigate the conflict. Mediator, Prime Keth Ulos, looked like nothing the humans had ever seen. It appeared to be a jellyfish made of liquid silver, floating through the air with tentacles that could become solid or gaseous at will. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from inside their heads. I have been sent to investigate reports of unprecedented military developments in this sector, the Mediator announced as its ship entered the system. The Galactic Council is concerned about the escalation of this conflict. Colonel Dong-hyun met with Keth Ulos aboard its strange vessel. The ship's interior looked like the inside of a soap bubble, with walls that bent light in impossible ways. Mediator Prime, we've been working to end this war peacefully, Dong-hyun explained. But the situation has become complicated. Indeed, Keth Ulos replied, its silver form flickering. Our monitoring stations detect weapon signatures never before recorded in this region. Both combatant species report casualty rates far exceeding all historical precedents. How many people usually die in galactic wars? Asked Captain Sujin. In the past 1,000 years, the average interspecies conflict resulted in fewer than 100 total deaths, the Mediator explained. Most wars are resolved through formal combat between small groups of professional warriors. Major Haywan looked shocked. 100 deaths for an entire war. We've seen more casualties than that in single battles here, which is precisely why the Council is concerned. Please provide me with documentation of human military history so I can understand your species' approach to warfare. Dr. Yun-Su, a military historian who had arrived with the second wave of advisors, carefully compiled basic information about human conflicts. She tried to choose examples that wouldn't seem too extreme to galactic standards. When she presented the data to Mediator Prime Keth Ulos, the alien's silver form began flickering rapidly like a broken light. This information cannot be accurate, Keth Ulos said, its voice sounding strained. You claim that a single human conflict called World War II resulted in over 50 million deaths? That's the generally accepted figure, Yun-Su replied, carefully. The war lasted 6 years and involved most of Earth's major nations. 50 million deaths in 6 years, the mediator repeated slowly. The entire Vorthak Empire has a total population of 12 million beings. The Nexari Federation has only 8 million. I chose that as a moderate example, Yun-Su said. Some historians estimate the death toll was as high as 75 million. Keth Ulos became completely transparent for several minutes. When it solidified again, its voice sounded different, more cautious. Your species fought a single war that could have completely exterminated 3 entire galactic civilizations? We fought several wars on that scale during the 20th century alone, Yun-Su admitted, and we developed weapons capable of destroying all life on our planet. Nuclear weapons, added Colonel Dong-hyun. We built enough of them to kill every person on Earth multiple times. The mediator's form began cycling through colors that hurt to look at. You developed the capacity for planetary extinction and then chose not to use it? Eventually, yes, Dr. Yun-Su said. It took us some time to fully understand the consequences. Show me more, Keth Ulos demanded. For 3 days, Dr. Yun-Su presented human military history to the galactic mediator. She covered ancient battles, medieval sieges, colonial wars, and modern conflicts. She explained concepts like total war, unconditional surrender, and mutually assured destruction. With each new revelation, Keth Ulos became more agitated. Its form shifted constantly between different states of matter. Your species approaches warfare as a form of problem-solving, it finally concluded. You fight until one side completely cannot continue fighting. Generally speaking, yes, Dong-hyun agreed, though we prefer negotiated settlements when possible. But you are prepared to wage total war if your survival depends on it? If necessary, yes. Meanwhile, Private Sung Min had been observing changes in the behavior of alien soldiers. He requested a meeting with Colonel Dong-hyun to report his concerns. Sir, I think we have a serious problem developing, Sung Min said. The aliens aren't just learning our tactics, they're starting to think about warfare the way we do. What do you mean? Yesterday I heard a Vorthak officer telling his troops to show no mercy to enemy civilians. 2 weeks ago, that same officer was upset because someone accidentally damaged an enemy medical transport. Captain Soo-jin confirmed the observation with her intelligence reports. I've been monitoring communications from both sides. They're using phrases like total victory and complete destruction of the enemy. These concepts didn't exist in their languages 6 months ago. The full scope of the problem became clear when Admiral Crystalsinger Vextal and General Scale Render Thox arranged a secret meeting to discuss what they called the human problem. Captain Soo-jin intercepted their communications and brought the recording to Colonel Dong-hyun. They're planning to work together against us, she reported. Both sides have decided that human influence is making their war too brutal and unpredictable. Can we defend against a joint attack? Easily, Colonel. They're still thinking in terms of formal battles with advance warning and agreed-upon rules, but that's not the real issue. What is the real issue? They're more afraid of us than they are of each other, sir. 2 species that have been fighting for 40 years are suddenly more worried about human advisors than about their traditional enemies. Colonel Dong-hyun realized that humanity had fundamentally misunderstood the situation from the very beginning. The aliens hadn't wanted to hire human soldiers because they needed better fighters. The joint alien attack on the human base ended in disaster for both alien fleets. Colonel Dong-hyun had anticipated the assault 3 days in advance and prepared accordingly. "All units, execute Plan Delta," he ordered, as the alien ships approached, in their perfect battle formations. The aliens expected to find human forces arranged for traditional combat. Instead, they found empty space where the human base should have been. "Where are they?" demanded Admiral Crystal Singer Vextal as her Nexari fleet searched for targets. "This must be another human trick," replied General Scale Render Thox from his Vorthak command ship. "They're hiding somewhere." What they didn't know was that Colonel Dong-hyun had moved his entire force inside a nearby asteroid field 3 days earlier. The human base they were attacking was just empty buildings and sensor decoys. "Targets are in position," reported Commander Yu Jin from her concealed location. "All alien ships are inside the kill zone." "Execute," Dong-hyun ordered. The asteroid where the humans were hiding suddenly split open, revealing concealed weapon batteries. But that wasn't the real trap. For weeks, human engineers had been placing explosives throughout the asteroid field. When the charges detonated simultaneously, they created an artificial landslide in space. Chunks of rock the size of buildings began crashing into both alien fleets. The carefully maintained battle formations collapsed as ships tried desperately to avoid the falling debris. Within minutes, 3/4 of both armies were either destroyed or badly damaged. "How?" gasped Admiral Vextal as her flagship's crystalline hull cracked under the impact of a small asteroid. Captain Su-jin broadcast a response on all frequencies. "You expected us to fight by your rules. We don't." The surviving alien ships tried to retreat, but they found their escape routes blocked by more human forces. Captain Kyung-soo and Lieutenant Bo-ram had positioned their units to cut off any withdrawal. "This is impossible," General Thox transmitted from his damaged command ship. "No species could predict our battle plan so precisely." "We've been watching. You fight for months," Major Haewon replied. "Your tactics are completely predictable." With most of their forces destroyed or disabled, both alien commanders had no choice but to surrender. As rescue ships arrived to help the survivors, Captain Su-jin prepared a message for broadcast to both alien homeworlds. "This is Captain Su-jin of the Human Advisory Force," she began. "Your leaders need to understand something about human warfare." The transmission showed footage from Earth's military history. Not the worst battles, but representative examples. Soldiers fighting in trenches during World War I, tank battles from World War II, urban warfare from more recent conflicts. "What you just experienced was a minor skirmish by human standards," Su-jin explained. "Our ancestors fought battles involving millions of soldiers. We have weapons that can destroy entire planets. We have strategies that can eliminate civilizations." Both alien homeworlds' military leaders watched in horror as human soldiers fought in conditions that would be unimaginable to galactic species. They saw armies numbering in the millions, battles lasting for months, and weapons that killed thousands of people in single explosions. "This footage is from our historical records," Su-jin continued. "These were not our most destructive conflicts. They were typical examples of human warfare from the past century. Mediator Prime Keth Ulos had been monitoring the battle from a safe distance. As the alien fleets were being destroyed, it realized the true scope of the problem humanity represented. Emergency. Protocols are now in effect," the Mediator announced to the Galactic Council. "The human species demonstrates military capabilities that exceed galactic norms by several orders of magnitude." Dr. So-min arrived with the Terra Nova and a team of xenocultural specialists. She had been sent to help negotiate a peaceful resolution to the conflict, but she arrived to find the war essentially over. "Colonel Dong-hyun, what happened here?" she asked as she surveyed the wreckage of 2 alien fleets. "We tried to show them that their war was pointless," Dong-hyun replied. "They decided we were the bigger threat and attacked us together. And you defeated both fleets simultaneously." "It wasn't difficult," Major Haewon said. "They still think in terms of honorable combat and formal battles. We think in terms of winning." Dr. So-min began studying the cultural implications of what had happened. Her report to Earth would become one of the most important documents in human history. The galaxy has been at peace for 3,000 years, she explained to President Jinnah in her transmission. These species have forgotten what actual warfare looks like. To them, war was theater. To us, war is problem-solving through violence. The surviving alien commanders were brought aboard the Terra Nova for medical treatment. Medic Jae-sung worked tirelessly to save lives, including General Thox and Admiral Vex Tal. "Why do you heal us?" Thox asked weakly from his medical bed. "We are your enemies." "You're not our enemies," Jae-sung replied. "You're beings who got caught up in something you didn't understand." Admiral Vex Tal was more direct in her questions. "How many humans would it take to conquer our homeworlds?" Dr. So-min answered honestly. "If humanity wanted to conquer your worlds, we wouldn't need to invade them. We have weapons that could destroy your planets from the other side of the galaxy." Both alien leaders fell silent. Finally, Vex Tal spoke again. "Your species could have eliminated us at any time?" "Yes," Dr. So-min replied. "But we don't want to eliminate anyone. We came here to explore and learn, not to conquer." "Then why are you so good at warfare?" "Because we had to be," Dong-hyun said. "On Earth, the species that couldn't fight went extinct. We evolved as hunters who could kill creatures much larger than ourselves. We survived ice ages by cooperating in groups and developing tools. War is just an extension of how we've always solved problems." Mediator Prime Keth Ulos arrived to oversee the aftermath of the battle. Its silver form was dim and flickering with what humans learned to recognize as distress. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision," it announced. "Humanity will be classified as an apex predator species. No member civilization is permitted to engage humans in military conflicts." "What does that mean?" asked Dr. So-min. "It means your species is too dangerous to fight," Keth Ulos explained. "The Council has seen the results of introducing human tactical concepts to galactic warfare. In 3 months, you have transformed a ritualized conflict into something approaching actual war." Captain Soo-jin had been monitoring communications from across the galaxy. Her reports confirmed the mediator's concerns. "Colonel, 12 different species have sent observers to study the battle," she reported. "They're all trying to understand human military tactics." "Is that bad?" "Very bad, sir. Most galactic species have populations smaller than major Earth cities. If they learned to fight like humans, they could wipe each other out." President Jinnah's response to the situation was diplomatic, but firm. "Earth accepts the Galactic Council's restrictions," she announced. "We will not provide military assistance to any galactic species." General Taeho was more pragmatic in his assessment. "We've learned more about galactic military capabilities in 6 months than we could have discovered in decades of peaceful contact," he noted. "And we've demonstrated that human military forces are superior to anything else in the galaxy." As the Human Advisory Force prepared to return to Earth, both alien species began the process of rebuilding their shattered armies. But they were not rebuilding them the same way. The Vorthak abandoned their honor codes and began training soldiers in what they called human-style tactics. The Nexari reorganized their entire military around concepts of surprise attacks and combined operations. Other species across the galaxy were taking notice. The idea of warfare as total commitment to victory rather than ritualized combat was spreading. Dr. So-min's final report was classified at the highest levels of Earth's government. "We have inadvertently introduced concepts of total war to a galaxy that has known only limited conflict for millennia," she wrote. "The long-term consequences could be catastrophic." But it was too late to undo what had been done. As human ships departed the contested system, they left behind a galaxy that was beginning to understand what real warfare could be. The Galactic Council's official directive was issued 3 weeks later. Species designation, human. Classification, apex predator. Warning: under no circumstances are member civilizations to involve this species in military conflicts. Their understanding of warfare exceeds galactic safety parameters. The directive was distributed to all member species, along with selected footage from human military history. The message was clear. Humanity was too dangerous to fight. On Earth, President Jinnah addressed the world about humanity's first contact with galactic civilization. "We have been welcomed into a community of peaceful species," she announced. "But we have also been recognized as something unique in the galaxy." General Tejo was less diplomatic in his private briefings. "We now know the locations of 12 alien homeworlds, their military capabilities, and their weaknesses," he noted. "If any of them ever threaten Earth, we can respond appropriately." Captain Hyun Woo, whose exploration mission had started the entire chain of events, was given command of humanity's first deep space colony ship,